Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Star Wars Rebels is one of the most popular animated Star Wars series, and the show ran from 2014 to 2018. Kanan Jarrus was one of the main characters of the series and has become a popular figure within the Star Wars universe. However, Kanan's shocking death near the end of the show's run was a huge surprise to many fans. And due to Kanan's popularity, many fans have wondered if Kanan will reappear at some point in the future in another Star Wars series. However, it has since been confirmed by Kanan's voice actor, Freddie Prinze Jr, that Kanan will never return to Star Wars again. So in this video we're going to be talking about why Kanan will never come back and why Freddie Prinze Jr has had problems with Disney. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Problems with Disney. As most Star Wars fans know, the Star Wars franchise is owned by Lucasfilm. However, Lucasfilm became a subsidiary of Disney in 2006 and was then acquired by Disney in 2012. And although the Disney acquisition brought a lot of benefits for Star Wars, Disney has also been criticised multiple times in the past for how it treats its workers. And this seems to have also happened in the case of Star Wars Rebels, and it may have been one of the reasons why Kanan Jarrus' character will not return in the future. Freddie Prinze Jr is a well-known actor who has starred in multiple hit movies such as I Know What You Did Last Summer, She's All That, and Scooby-Doo, among many others. When it was announced that Freddie would be voicing the character of Kanan in Star Wars Rebels, some people were surprised by this as voice actors are not typically that well known. But it appears that Freddie may have had problems with Disney and almost quit the show. On his podcast Wrestling with Freddie, Freddie once addressed the pay that he got on Star Wars Rebels and said, quote, "In the world of animation, these animation actors, the voice actors as people call them, again, they're just actors, they're just not doing live action stuff, the paychecks are whack. When I did Star Wars Rebels, they weren't paying us a dime." Freddie then explained that he had to fight for equal pay for himself and also his fellow voice actors. Freddie said, quote, "What I said is, I'm gonna walk unless you give not only me, but the rest of the cast a raise. And I made sure we all got paid the same. That was the biggest, I can't say that's the biggest check any of them ever got on the show, but it was the biggest check that Disney ever paid voice actors per episode." And many people applauded Freddie for this and commented that this was a very Kanan Jarrus thing to do. However, people also theorised that this perhaps had caused some tension between Freddie and Disney, and that may be part of the reason why Freddie seems to have criticised Disney as well as Star Wars over the years. And he also confirmed why he will never return to play Kanan Jarrus ever again. Let's talk more about that now. Why Freddie Prinze Jr is done with Kanan Jarrus. The performance of an actor or voice actor can really be the difference between fans loving a character or hating them. Fans could tell that Freddie really was a fan of Star Wars and loved his character, and in fact, Freddie was really instrumental in Kanan's storyline. For example, the show's creator Dave Filoni said at a Star Wars panel in 2019 that Freddie was adamant that Kanan needed to die. And even when Dave questioned whether it was, quote, too depressing, Freddie apparently pushed Dave to continue with Kanan's death storyline. And this is one of the many reasons why fans loved Freddie's portrayal of Kanan, and there have been frequent requests for Kanan to come back in the form of a Force ghost in another series. Freddie has in fact returned on a few occasions to voice Kanan, notably in Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and his voice was used in the live-action movie The Rise of Skywalker. However, Freddie has now said that he is done with playing Kanan. Freddie was a guest on the Big Thing podcast in 2023 and was asked about Kanan's cameos in The Bad Batch and The Rise of Skywalker. Freddie said that he was asked to do those cameos, but he didn't want to, and now he regrets doing them. The reason why he regrets it is because, quote, "I feel like every time you hear Kanan's voice since Rebels ended, it kind of dilutes his impact." Freddie also said that he didn't want to do the voiceover for The Rise of Skywalker, but, quote, "I was asked as a favour, but I feel like all their favours are used up now." Freddie was then asked if he would be returning to the series Ahsoka, which many fans see as a continuation of the Star Wars Rebels series. And Freddie said, quote, "No Ahsoka, I'm done with Kanan, I'm too old for that stuff." And although this has saddened some fans, a lot of people agreed with Freddie and have said that Kanan's death was tragic but heroic, and if Kanan were to return, it would undermine and destroy his character's legacy. But there may also be another slightly strange reason that Freddie has decided not to play Kanan again, which has left some fans scratching their heads. Let's talk more about that now. Nobody gets laid. Although Freddie remains popular among Star Wars fans for his portrayal of Kanan in Rebels, Freddie has criticised the fan base a few times over the years, and he has made a few comments in the past that upset some of the fans. For example, back in 2019, Freddie appeared on Jeff Dye's Friendship podcast, and Freddie went on a very long rant about how the Star Wars fan base is toxic and why they criticise the characters and the storyline so often. Freddie started by saying that the first Star Wars movies were made for children, and the newer films were also made for children, but the children are just a different age now. Freddie then referenced the most recent live-action Star Wars trilogy and said, quote, "Look dog, you're just mad the franchise isn't aging with you, but that ain't how it works. You're just peed off that Han Solo gave the effing Millennium Falcon to a girl." Freddie also said he knows more about the Force than most people do because Dave Filoni taught him and he was taught by George Lucas, and that Star Wars video games have, quote, "effed people up on what the Force is." Freddie's rant went viral at the time, with many people supporting what Freddie was saying and applauded him for speaking out against the toxic fan base. However, other people criticised Freddie and said that his rant was rude and that he was discrediting the opinions of the fans. But this is not the only time Freddie has made some strong comments about Star Wars. During his appearance on the Big Thing podcast in 2023, which I mentioned earlier, Freddie also made a slightly random comment about why he is done with Star Wars. Freddie explained that he grew up watching Star Trek, and then he said, quote, "They had sex in Star Trek, man. Nobody gets laid in Star Wars." Some fans were confused by this, however, because Freddie's character Kanan does father a child at the end of Star Wars Rebels called Jason, and so arguably Kanan does get laid. But fans were also left wondering whether Freddie was trying to say that he feels that Star Wars is too family friendly, and that is potentially why he doesn't want to return to play Kanan in the future, although this has not been confirmed. However, other people have theorised that perhaps Freddie is just channeling William Shatner because of the Star Trek connection. And William Shatner has made several jokes about Star Wars over the years and said that Star Trek is better than Star Wars. For example, when the trailer for The Bad Batch came out in 2021, William tweeted saying, "Isn't all of Star Wars a bad batch?" And so it could just be that Freddie is trying to be like William Shatner and just injecting some humour into his responses. But ultimately, when Freddie was asked on the podcast why he won't return to play Kanan, Freddie said, quote, "Kanan's story, at least for me, is done. I thought it ended beautifully. People cried. I was very happy for that. I don't mean that like a jerk. Our goal was to make you cry. So for me, that story's been told and it's done, and I wouldn't have any interest in that, and it would be weird to play a different character in that universe, so I don't have any ambition to be in the Star Wars universe." And so this seems to be a fairly definitive answer as to why Kanan Jarrus will never return to our screens again. So there you go, there was a quick video outlining some of the drama that Freddie Prinze Jr has had with Star Wars and why he will never return as Kanan Jarrus again. Were you a fan of Kanan's character in Star Wars Rebels? And would you like to ever see Kanan return to Star Wars in the future? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to get early access to my videos as well as exclusive content, you can become a member of my Patreon and you'll unlock these amazing benefits, and I'll put a link in the description. Please make sure you like, comment and share this video as it really helps support my channel. And of course, please make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!